Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To Sumi and peace out to the rest of you. Black heart, black mind, black ant. Again, hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. So listen closely, y'all. I'm going to briefly get on two things. First one is about Siyamthanda Mtolo. That is a South African content creator. She put out a video in July, and I'm not knocking her video. She covered the issue, but she wasn't outright insulting. A little young, a little shallow, but I didn't find her to outright be just straight up insulting, per se. That being said, she did, kind of funny, but she did a video in which she refers to a previous video, and she says that at some point where she asked an audience, her audience, was, do they prefer lighter skinned men or darker skinned men? She said this is the question she asked. Now, in this question, I wasn't there for that video. I haven't seen it yet. But she said, I got your answers. And she refers to the answers. And the answers to which she refers from her audience are as follows. Number one, abundantly melanated men are more manly, dominant, alpha. I'm not taking that necessarily as an insult against us, but as a compliment to them. However, it is an implied subconscious insult to bronze men. But that's not where the real open insult comes in. The next two things she got were, number two, you have to be stupid. You might as well tattoo stupid on your forehead to date a light-skinned man. Number three, be prepared for the ridicule. Now, this is coming from Siyamthanda Mtolo. She says you can call her Yami. I put the link on Selector J's discussion page because Selector Ja's discussion page, so that you could see it if you want to. But I put it on his page also so that he could see the confirmation. If you count me as one witness, then she is the fourth confirmation witness. And again, none of this is to knock anybody's preference. It's okay. The issue isn't to knock the preference. She's allowed to have it. It is the insults that came afterwards. I'm not going to go further than that. There are other things in the video, but the only thing I'll say is that even though she herself did not outright insult us, subliminally she did make a mistake that can be taken as an insult. At the end, she said, who would give up this for this? And she showed a well-muscled, well-melanated man about to take a shower, and then she showed a close-up of a more ambiguous-looking, soft, curly-haired guy with light-colored eyes squinting at the camera and licking his lips. I'm just going to call it what it is. The same thing coming from two different men gets different reactions. We men know this. All it takes is for ladies to just admit that they feel two different ways about it. But to not get offended by one until they've said at least thank you, but no thank you. But that's not what we're dealing with. I'll say too that I'm only mentioning this because this is the confirmation of what I've already said. And people they don't like it when you say these things and you don't take responsibility yourself. Many people hate this, especially those that are of a more conservative mindset. It's always blame yourself. Unfortunately, that's the reason that black folks are susceptible to the right wing of politics nowadays, because we've already been trained for this. Maybe that needs to be another recording of mine. So that being said, the second thing I wanted to cover was about non-black men and light-skinned motivations mistakes. Whether they shut their own channel down or whether YouTube did it is immaterial at this point. I want to say that there are two things. Number one, I'm mentioning this not necessarily in case they come back, but yeah, you know what? If they do come back, they could, if they hear this, they can avoid them. And even though they may hate me, I'm giving this advice so that they don't screw up. Because I do want there to be places for people to heal all over the spectrum. The abundantly melanated and the sparsely melanated to heal from this colorism and classism and regionalism from which we suffer. But right now, the colorism. Because the other things tend to be overcome, might be overcomable. Shade, not so much. You got thrown off balance and you allowed some of your commentators to push you all to the far white right. Not to individual accountability. These are things that can work to a certain extent. But you allow them to push you too far to the right where you deny that there's such a thing as white supremacy. White people are never wrong, not anymore, and niggers are just niggers, and that's why Blackistan is in the shape that it's in. That was an imbalance. And I know that y'all allowed this because I sat up and listened to you, and I also looked at who you kicked off your channel, i.e. told me not to go back, and I saw who you allowed to keep going back. Like Sock. Not just any white person, but an actual white supremacist going on there. And then y'all didn't cancel him when he went off on Brady that time. That should have been the end of him, at least on your channel. It wasn't. But y'all want to tell me stay off the channel and don't even inform you about original pro-black crowds. That's what y'all said. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, fair enough. You're pro-white and anti-black. That's the end of it. Some people who said this about you were right. I sat back, listened, and saw this to be the case. I don't know if you started off that way, but that's what y'all became. We can't afford that. Forget how I feel about it. We can't afford it. But the next thing, too, is this. Anon, you were a very loyal ally. You were a very loyal ally. Unfortunately, even after she would get herself into stuff, you were the Superman while she was Lois Lane. She gets into stuff. She leaves herself open to an intellectually honest attack or a criticism. You would jump out and defend her. I don't know if you conversed with her in private about her mistakes, but if you did, she didn't listen. Consequently leading to you defending her when she was wrong. So one principle, loyalty, overrode other moral principles. Secondly, LSM. You can marry who you want. But the thing is, if you take the stance you take, you do make it your business who you're married to. Or at least if that marriage reflects the stance you're taking. You made it their business. You didn't hide it forever. You were the one that came out and said eventually the description of your husband. Now, Anon said he gave the description of his wife early on, right off the bat. So it couldn't be used to discredit him. Because you had a particular stance, and then you were the one that let people know that you married against your own stance after a long time of people not knowing this. Then you discredited yourself. People came to you because they didn't have a better option to go to for healing as far as they know. If you come back, maybe you can do better. Maybe you don't come back, doesn't matter. What I will say is that fortunately there are some others that have decided to take up the banner, but they're probably going to be more balanced. At least I'm pretty sure that Mr. Cannon is. Now, he's more supportive of you than you would even allow me to be, and okay, fine. But I think he's going to take a more balanced approach, and I'm going to listen more. I look forward to the next one. I think Ms. Philosophier, I think she will. I'd like to do a live stream with her at some point, and I'm willing to listen and learn from her like I was willing to listen and learn from y'all. But y'all did get thrown off balance. And yes, Anon, she got intellectually dishonest. At first, I said maybe distracted because she's raising a young baby, and I get it. But later on, I realized, no, there was some intellectual dishonesty in there. You couldn't deal with it. Fair enough. I'm saying this not out of hatred, but so that if you do come back, you can remember to remain on balance and not let commentators throw you further off balance or throw you further out than what you were ready to go. And also, so that if anyone else decides to start some channel with some healing, or with healing in mind, that they would also remember the balance, like Mr. Cannon, that the space is for you to heal. That does not mean you got a problem with another space for someone else on the other end of the spectrum to heal, because it's not like they went through absolutely nothing their whole lives. It's more like everybody's been getting it, because that's how the community is. But we've led to a need for healing that may involve different details in the healing because of the different types of trauma. That's what it comes down to. Admitting that somebody else was hurt before they hurt you is not wrong. And that doesn't make someone a so-called light-skinned savior. I'm just going to be fair. And don't get it twisted. Somebody that singles me out for mistreatment because of my phenotype, I'm knuckling up on them, no matter what their phenotype is. Don't get it twisted. But, it takes balance to figure that out. I hope that what I've said one day won't be necessary. And in the meantime, I hope it helps. Black heart, black mind, blackout, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual, non-select male power, even for the Bronze Brothers, just because they don't like it. Oh, and that leads me to one other thing. Selector was right when he said that the reason that there are not lighter skinned couples forming and therefore families and communities, which was what you all wanted and pushed for, is because of the selection of the ladies. He was right about that. He wasn't mean. He wasn't hateful when he said it. He was telling the damn truth. I observed it. He observed it. J. Cash observed it. Go to J. Cash and ask, out of the ladies that have pushed you the furthest away, were the abundantly melanated sisters the ones that were the most vehemently against being with you, or was it the paler ones? Watch what he says. At the end of the day, he didn't say one shade of women has told him, keep a distance, you're a good friend, and when I have some other man's kids, I'll come back to you. Wasn't one shade that said this per se. But I'm just going to tell y'all straight, Selector was right. Y'all jumped on him like he was crazy, and I'm telling you he wasn't. So anyway, I've already greeted or closed this out. Hopefully this will help. Assalamu alaikum, blackout.